I'm just sitting on your front porch, wondering how could I be so far from my home? And my mind is somewhere else, but when I find it, I'll patch up where it's been blown. Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones, but it's gonna take a little time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to all the new viewers. Welcome to all the loyal peeps. It's good to see everybody. I am here with Mr. Mike Gill. How you doing, sir?
I don't know. You know what? I'm still here and still fighting. That's as good as it gets.
I hear you on that one. Well, this is going to be quite the journey we're going to go on. Who knows if, fitting your story into one stream is actually impossible. So we'll do the best we can to get the best information across, and might actually have to do a follow-up to this because it's a lot to unwrap. And it's
not a problem.
And I appreciate your time, number one. I appreciate you taking the request. So a couple things just to get out of the way for you guys. If you check the description, you will see a link to Mike Gill's Twitter. You will see a link to two YouTube channels that he has, and any links that he tells me throughout the stream that he wants up or known will be put up in the chat and in the show notes after the stream is over, so you guys can follow along with everything we're talking about. Other than that, we're going to get into just telling this story. This is Mike's story. This is not mine. I am here to just guide the convo, put some visuals up, and hopefully ask the right questions. So hope everyone just sits back, enjoys, and really take in the information. Don't have a bias going in of what you think of somebody. Just hear the story out, see the evidence that corroborates the story, and make up your mind from there. So just to start with you, Mike, and we're going old school phone call here, just so everybody knows. One more thing before we start. I did see, up at the top, pinned at the top is a donation link, and any donations that come in through this stream, I'm just going to split 50-50 with Mike towards his GoFundMe, which I'll put a link to that as well for you guys. So if you guys support my show, I'm just going to split that down the middle with Mike, just so everybody knows. All right. So where I want to start is just kind of get a background, the best you can, to explain to everybody, what your background is.
All right. I come from a town in New Hampshire called Salem. My mother was the catechism teacher of the town of Salem, and my father was a brute. And at 14 years old, and as a young man too, a young kid, at 12 years old, I was 6'1", 220 pounds. I was a big kid, and even in grade school, I was that kid that would beat the bullies up, and it's partially because my mother was handicapped and she was deformed from polio. So I was very sensitive to looks or people said. So I just became that person. And then I went to St. Francis Seminary, and from 14 to 19 years old, with the intention to be a priest. Because, again, I thought that was how to protect children. And, that was going to be my life path. Turns out that you know, they were priests, but maybe a little less than kind, too.
Yeah.
So I went a different way.
Okay.
And I built the business in time. I built the largest volume mortgage brokerage firm in the United States, and that's according to Fannie Mae.
Okay.
I became so that I was doing Fannie Mae's training videos, and I can post stuff that you will see that they have posters and so forth at Fannie Mae of me.
Okay.
And then I was a very good handicapper. Some say the best in the world of horse racing. So it's like the game of chess. You know, the insight it took me to catch these criminals. I mean, again, I am bad at so many things. I am good at insight. And insight had to do with playing chess or handicapping horses. So I started buying them and literally became the world champion of horse racing. Won more races than any human being has ever lived as an owner. Out of 10, the most money won and most races won, it only happened 10 times, and I owned 5 of them. And world champion in 2005, I beat the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, the family of Campbell Soup, and Eugene Melnick, who owns the Ottawa Centers, and at that time, the 6th largest pharmaceutical company. All from being an education to a priest to be homeless, which I am again today. We have gone full circle. But so the point is when I started Mortgage Special, became a wealthy man, Bill Shaheen, who's married to Jean Shaheen, Hillary Clinton's co-chair, and Alex Walker, the president of Divine Millimat, presidents of law firms, represented me and my business and family, personal. And I didn't go looking for them. You become rich, trust me, they find you. But it's like the mafia. They'll sell you insurance about, window insurance. But they're the people breaking the windows.
Yeah.
And these people work the same way. You don't have a problem, you will. Okay. So what happened was, in this mortgage company, there was a Ponzi scheme. Right around the time it was breaking when the real estate market started to collapse in 7 and 8. And then before that, it had signs that it was going to happen. Well, when it started having signs, a group of elderly people, 402 of them, invested in a company called Financial Resource Management. It turned out to be a Ponzi scheme owned by the same Bill Shaheen and monitored and supervised by the state banking commissioner, Peter Hildreth, who just happened to have 2 of his brothers, the biggest investors on the scam. So what happens was these people came to me, I looked at it and realized that these properties were having 8, 9, 10 separate mortgages. For instance, a $200,000 house had liens on it for $2 million. Each of them, 10 people, thought they were the principal and only lien on the house.
Yeah,
I'm
actually familiar with this. Well, not too familiar, but I did follow someone, Matt Cox, who did this for a living, who would do this with houses. He would make it look like he would have, he'd start it with, oh, this is a $100,000 property. I'm going to take it to a $375,000 property, and I'm going to do this 4 times. And then he would build the whole market, which would up the market around the whole city or the whole town that he was, or whatever, the little area in the town. All the other houses would go up when really the house isn't worth that much, and he does. And no, obviously you can't own it 4 times.
These people had actually 10 mortgages on one property.
Yeah.
So it wasn't rolling one mortgage to super evaluate one. I'm talking 10 mortgages. So the way to find that out, meaning each and every time they purchased, they would lift the mortgages and then put them back. So meaning each lawyer was in this corruption. The clerk of courts, it was all corrupt. So what happened was, once I detected this, it was my lawyer I went to my secondary lawyer, was Alex Walker. I go, Alex, Bill Shaheen's running a Ponzi scheme. Walker goes, I know. I go, what do you mean? He goes, leave it alone. leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone.
I said I couldn't.
Yeah.
So when I said that I couldn't, Bill Shaheen has me come over to his office. He goes, "Hey, Mike, you like that painting on the wall? The picture, a horse's head." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That's $50,000. Are you asking me to buy it?" And he goes, "I'm telling you, you have to buy it." I go, "I'm not buying it." Well, in the next couple of days, I have the town of Haverhill go, "Hey, you know that sign you've had out here for I don't know, 15 years?"
And this is Alex.
Well,
this is Alex Walker, right?
Yeah, Alex Walker.
Right.
So they're telling me the sign's can't be on there. Shaheen called them up and was leveraging for the sign. You know what they cost me now? The Sheen price went up to $100,000. I have a check and I posted it it's on the internet and I can post it up again. I say I put $100,000 on. I said if you cash it, I'm putting your ass in jail in the comments. Well, he cashed it. So, but that was the message to stay away from the Ponzi scheme. The next thing they do is then I say, no, I'm going to still do it. I go to the AG's office. I said, listen, there's a Ponzi scheme there. I meet with a guy named Glenn Perlow. Well, guess who becomes the new banking commissioner? The same Glenn Perlow. The guy who's running a cover-up who was waiting to talk to me because you already heard from Shaheen and Walker. So they intercept me and put the crook inside the banking commissioner. Why is it so important with the banking commissioner to control it? Banking department? Because that's how you find the largest largest money laundering network in the world. That is Pandora Papers. So for all those years, I was screaming to the mountaintops that I found a laundering network. It turned out to be the largest. When I said the largest in the country, it was the largest in the world. 932 billion right now. So now that I had this, I'm taking this now to the FBI. I'm taking it to the TICTA, the Treasury Inspector General of Taxation. They are what supervise and disciplines the IRS. So I take it to the next level. FBI, the Treasury, guess what? They're in on it. They run cover up. I mean, we have. This is why it's so important with O'Keefe what's going on. So when I turn around and I started running an organization, again, a wealthy man, I said, you know what? How many more victims are out there? Not just this Ponzi scheme, but what about the people who are losing children to drugs? Nursing homes. I mean, Family Court was a nightmare. So I said, you know what? If you're a victim of corruption, I did TV commercials.
Yeah.
And said, listen, don't cost you anything.
And billboards.
Well, eight billboards, but the billboards came slightly later.
Now, I just want to go in really quick and just let everybody know, Alex Walker is the longtime Catholic Medical Center executive in New Hampshire. CEO.
Right.
Of this Catholic Medical Center. And when we're talking about New Hampshire, we're talking about it as a cartel. It is a group of corrupt individuals that are all getting together, and he'll explain what they're doing and why they're doing it. But just so you guys understand,
I can tell you how they're doing it.
Yeah, Alex Walker, when you start talking about fentanyl and drugs, well, it's very good to be a vice president of a Catholic medical center. It's a very good position to be in. And he's also a guy that's been tapped to be on the New Hampshire board as a trustee. So just to give some...
They planned on him being the governor. I intercepted Walker. So what happened was, when I went to all these FBI, DEA, the whole thing, because once you find the money laundering, you also find who's cleaning their money. So when I have Shaheen now on billboards, Walker's on billboard, banking department, corrupt judges, boom. I mean, 8 billboards, we're talking 80-foot billboards across highways. Now, every day after I catch this guy named State Senator Lambert on a video. Now listen, here's a video I want you people to watch. It's important. It is a turning point. It is where Aaron Day and O'Keefe come into my circumstances. I'd catch Lambert setting it up with this executive council meeting, a guy named State Senator Jerry Little. Little is Sununu's guy. Lambert is O'Keefe's guy. Okay? So they get together with a guy named Avard, who I worked with, who's going to put this bill in and get everybody victims' money back, except for it was a deal with pennies on the dollar. They twisted the deal with O'Keefe and Sununu. So what happened was, and this is all on video, folks, you hear Lambert turn around and have the Assistant Attorney General Richard Dickhead, notes that said that the Attorney General's office knew about this Ponzi scheme 6 years before. They knew the names, everything. And you know what the comments on the note said? Keep this away from Mike Gill.
Now, Sununu is the son of John Sununu, who is the former chief of staff of George H.W. Bush. Just everybody is clear on that one.
We've got the Bush family.
Yep.
We've got oil money, which kind of explains how Sununu bought his ski resort using money from 3 terrorist groups tied to 9/11, right?
Yep.
How about if you Google that, front page of Breitbart, it says exactly that. When I'm running for governor in 2016 against him, I asked him about that. He called me prejudiced. I don't know, against terrorists, I guess.
Yeah.
And Shaheen's candidate was pounding a guy named Ben Ostrin. They were pounding him with that. And then this happened. Okay, this is a critical point, people. So in other words, I intercepted O'Keefe's plan with Lambert and Little. Now, I didn't know it was O'Keefe's plan yet, but I knew he was O'Keefe's guy. Now, what they did was, these two pinheads put 2 bills together, okay? One bill said, we'll give you pennies on the dollars from the victims from FRM. Why? Because they wanted to close any and all potential investigations into the banking department, right? So Sununu wasn't going to become governor and sit on landmines, meaning an investigation. So now, what happened? Second thing is, the next bill, Lambert and them, if Jerry Little writes a bill, says, ready? The banking commissioner, if he trusts you, doesn't have to audit you. Can you say get out of jail free card? And voila, guess who's the next banking commissioner? The guy who wrote the bill for his escape hatch. Now, this is where it gets insidious, if that isn't insidious enough.
It's pretty insidious, but we know it gets deeper and darker.
This stuff will kill you. Now, so what happened is...
Or try to kill you.
3 times. O'Keefe turns around and sees Crocko with Day. And they're going, Gill just intercepted our move. In fact, they canceled the hearing the next day. They were off like prom dresses, all of them. And they had already the votes. It was already a done deal. And I caught them cold. So now, Aaron Day shows up in my office, unannounced. He comes out, I'm sitting in the conference room. Can we talk? He goes, I know your signs. I know you're working with the money laundering network. And you got Shaheen up there, the whole thing. How about I give you the largest drug cartel in the country? What? Well, you know who they're cleaning money for? He goes, you met with all these victims, right? You know there's a cartel. I go, I do. This cartel owns hospitals, treatment centers, pharmacy, hospice care, nursing homes. They overdose the elderly in nursing homes after they signed over all their assets. They turn around and own the treatment centers when some of these kids are hanging on for grim life, their last hope, and they're stealing and taking that. Family court, they're taking children from matching funds, federal matching funds. And these children are going in, how about the Sununu Youth Detention Center, right? Yep. 800 cases of beatings and rapes of young children. They would put them in rooms, strip them naked, and have them beat each other up. We're talking 11, 12 years old boys. If there's something to die for, I'm picking this. So that's what I found out. And it's drugs that are at the core of this. The same people who steal from the federal government, steal from the state, sell protection to the worst of us, the worst drug cartels, well, pharmaceutical company too, child trafficking. They're dealing with machine guns. I mean, they have built a wall around a state. They have taken one of the smallest states in the country, made it the most protected, and turned around and number one in money laundering, number one in opioids, and number one in machine guns. Now you tell me, seeing the United States is the worst at all three, that little piece of land is the worst place of all of them. In other words, if you're going to put it all together, there isn't a worse place in the world for what they're doing. So here's the deal. Sununu wanted to take the crown. As the governor appoints the judges. That's how you sell protection, by owning the courts. I take the AG's office. You know why? Because they control any investigation and prosecution. They protect the department that they steal from. Education, money laundering of the banking department and the Department of Revenue, who, by the way, are all on my $50 million settlement. That settlement agreement is an outline of this network. And it is the same names in the Pandora Papers. So now, Dave comes to me and says, I'm going to give you this. So I start meeting it. And you know who I meet next?
Tell me.
O'Keefe.
Okay.
O'Keefe comes to my house.
All right.
Okay. And then they have me hire their operative. Day's an operative. Islandi's an operative. Rumpler's an operative. And Federer, who wasn't an operative, became an operative. And they would bring other operatives in that were inside AutoFair. The same company that I told you was owned by the cartel, was moving drugs by car carriers, was using the inventory to hide their assets, was using the financing of owning Primary Bank to launder their money. It was a network. And I mean, it's done with multiple businesses. When Pence was going in to visit Granite State Recovery, I told you it was owned by the cartel. I called the plane in the air. Guess what? They're in the Pandora Papers. That is part of the movement. The walls and my evidence is all crashing in at the same time. So at this point,
am I right to say that the Pandora's Papers came public for everybody, but beforehand, James O'Keefe had his hand on these papers and were using these papers to blackmail?
No, I wouldn't say. I can't tell you he had my hands on the paper, because those papers were really created by hundreds of journalists, some of which I talked to, foreign journalists. Okay. Those people banded together. Because if one or two turn around and break the news, they're dead.
Yeah.
Mexico. So what they did was they released it together. So nobody from this country told you the Pandora Papers, except for me, who was telling you there's a money laundering network in the state of New Hampshire. They tracked it down to the Pandora Papers. They brought it to me. You don't know all the businesses. You know the businesses they put out there? Granite State, AutoFair, Prospective Trust, all the entities that I already caught. They gave you the entities that I already gave you. They didn't give you the rest. That's why the people of this country is going to stand up and scream. That is what Donald Trump and my evidence stands for. That's why General Flynn went to get my evidence. It is a nuclear bomb of unimaginable proportions. It gets every corrupt politician that's hiding their money. I guarantee you Biden and the Clintons are in there. That's why you're in the Ukraine. The money's transferring back and forth. That's how they clean it. New Hampshire is that. Yeah, you don't have one perfect system of laundering.
Yeah, I think a great
in multiple states.
I think a great
perfect is one.
I think a great point you made was it's not hard for them to steal the $932 billion, but where do you store it is the question. And then in comes Ukraine. Perfect.
Right. Here's this. You ready? It isn't selling you drugs. It isn't stealing your money. It isn't selling protection to human traffickers and child traffickers, the pharmaceutical company. It's where you put the money. I think there's a line in Scarface. You know when they're the duffel bags walking into the bank? He says, it's what to do with all the money. Right. So what you got to do is you've got to build the most vault. And you've got to protect it with the DEA. You've got to protect it with the FBI. And that is what, see, in other words, you don't just get the corrupt politician and drug up. You get what protects it. This is the Achilles heel of this network and what could be an awakening in this country of seeing exactly the depth of this corruption. They're selling children body parts. I mean, I got a tractor trailer, a trucking company front, and O'Keefe's guys were in there with me. This guy came forward because they trust me. He was moving machine guns from Manchester, New Hampshire. Remember, New Hampshire, #1 in machine guns, to Laredo, Texas. You know what they were bringing back? Human trafficking, children, and fentanyl, and heroin. Some of those children were used as organ donors. Are you getting how obscene this is? You know why normal, good people can't see it? Because it is not in your hearts to see this kind of evil.
Exactly.
Believe me, it wasn't in mine. It took me time to develop, to understand the level of evil this is. Not corruption, evil. I came to understand that. And when I did, I started getting ahead of them. I started entrapping them. I started collecting this evidence because I knew who they became. And trust me, people, listen to this. You are already behind the 8 ball. Why? Because you can't see them, and they see you clearly. They see you as sheep. They see you as people to use and abuse for their own greed and wealth. And all that I did with those videos was an awakening for you to see what's going on. And out of all these years, part of insight, the problem is you're ahead of everybody, but you've caught up. You're starting to understand this doesn't make sense. So when you see O'Keefe resign, leaving the moneymaker, I mean, listen, you fire a couple guys. You don't think that Project Veritas doesn't know that they're going to lose donations?
Yeah.
Listen, it's all about money.
Yeah,
He's going down, and they don't want the contagion, which is exactly the plan. Now,
this is the funniest thing.
Sorry for jumping.
No, but this is the funniest. This is the funniest
Sununu.
thing about the whole thing is that people bought the story of, yeah, he's just a hard guy to work for, so we're just gonna give him 3 weeks paid time off, and then he's gonna just resign. He hasn't been on Twitter in 4 weeks. It's nothing, guys. Don't worry about it. And everyone just bought this story hook, line, and sinker. Like they would give a shit if
they knew this was coming down for months.
Yeah.
Listen, they work with a plan. My advantage is I have a plan, they have a plan. They like turning like a battleship. I have a plan, and because it's me, I can make sharp turns. So you know what I do when I get them? I call them out. I call their plan. I go, listen, they're going to move here. What did I say? He's going to leave. O'Keefe's gone, but I know why he's gone. Now, this thing with Sununu was a marriage with O'Keefe. Now, this is important. You ready? How did it happen? In fact, Dave, you posted something that said from 2012, saying libertarians, Project Veritas, try to control elections, moving 20,000 people in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
You're damn right. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. And remember, people, this isn't about politics. This isn't about race. This isn't about religion. If you make it any one of those, you're feeding in to exactly how the few divide the many. So do not put me in that category. That's not me. I am a grunt like you. All right? So here's the deal. So O'Keefe's trying to get these people elected. 2014, Google, O'Keefe investigates Griner. Well, let me tell you who Griner is. Griner is the head money launderer for the cartel. He buys your politicians, okay? He is the head of Primary Bank, the bank for the cartel. He is the number 3 cartel member. Now, O'Keefe investigates, guess what he found? A cartel. Who was he bumping into? Cartel-owned politicians in the Shaheen and Aganos network. Exactly that. Now, remember, people, 2014. Do you know when Aaron Day came to see me in my office after Grok Talk? In 2016, 2 years before I ever mentioned that Aganos Cruz or Griner. Are you ready? You know who wrote that article, by the way, about O'Keefe? Oh, Aaron Day. That marries him too. O'Keefe had his own guy write the article. Front page, O'Keefe. It was his own guy.
Do you want to explain it?
Just want to quickly. Wrote the article.
Do you want to quickly just like a quick explanation of who Aaron Day is for everybody?
Okay. Now, so remember now, Aaron Day, after Grok Talk came into my office and said, he's going to give me a drug cartel. He goes right then and then, Aganos, Cruz, and Griner. Aaron Day, you know that big move with all those libertarians? Well, he was the president of the Libertarian. He was O'Keefe's right-hand man. And Aaron Day brings in Eileen Landy. You know what? She was the ex-president. Rumpler was an informant inside AutoFair working for O'Keefe in financing, meaning they knew about the money laundering too. They knew about the cartel and both. They knew what they were up against. So they turned around. I was on the money laundering. They had it too. They had the cartel. I didn't have the cartel. So Day was always a politician. And guess what? He's running for president today. So my co-defendant against the cartel, the guy who gave me the cartel, O'Keefe's right-hand man, they're all working in my company. And O'Keefe, we're meeting, and he's sending me more undercovers than putting him in treatment centers and AutoFair particularly. So what happened? So in other words, Aaron Day's the point man for O'Keefe. Now, what happened is, remember now, I'm taking you back to the executive council meeting and Sununu. You'll see a video of Cossack doing the laundry, and you see me sitting at the head of the table as I was running for governor. It is Sununu. To my left is Van Ostrin. So I'm sitting with Sununu and the crime family of Shaheen to my left. And next to Sununu, by the way, is a guy named Pappas. Well, you hear me say, hey, you're a member of the cartel. Well, that's your new congressman, and that's how it goes. Now, what happened is I tell Sununu, this is money laundering. Perlo's the banking, insurance defender. He's not a banker. I go, Little's your guy. I call him out, tell him his plan, the whole thing. I'm telling you, you watch that video and you tell me Sununu didn't go catatonic.
Yeah.
You know what he said? Not a damn thing. You know what Shaheen's candidate said? Again, not a damn thing. I called Pappas in the drug cartel. He's quiet too. I caught him cold. But the plan was afoot. And the plan at that point was also to get rid of me. And it followed up with 3 murder attempts. They weren't going to settle with me, not in court. They were going to go out of court with a bullet in the head. And O'Keefe knew about it too. I'll tell you about that too.
Yeah, they wanted to quiet you down with a $50 million payout with 1 million stipulations, and for them to get out of it with releases.
They already made 4 attempts to settle in writing, and I posted.
Yep.
Whoever posts their settlement offers, but I did. It was a sign of guilt. Hey, listen, nothing says that these guys are guilty, and they spell out the Pandora Papers like 50 million.
Yep.
So that the question is, boy, why did they put it all in writing? Because in a billion years, they never thought someone would say no. Now, so, I mean, I'm talking 4. If you go to the video, Married to the Mob, you'll see one of their informants comes in, implants, goes into the state of corruption to try to help victims. Well, she was one of them, and we caught her. And you know what? We're going over another new settlement. 25 from Penn National Gaming Casino. I wasn't suing them.
And the
I
other
was telling them
and the
they
other
were money
25
launderers
and the other
the mob.
and the other
And
25
then
from
Mutual,
Liberty.
who represented Shaheen and Walker and the money laundering network. So again, there's another one. I mean, signed emails that I put out there. You see it in a deposition, and you see me in court in front of Shaheen.
Yeah, and I'm going to link all of this for you guys. I'm going to link all of these videos. He walks you through it very, very calmly, easily, shows you the documents, shows you the emails, shows you everything, shows you that they're signed, it shows you what they offered him. This isn't some pie in the sky QAnon bullshit. This is the real deal shit.
Everything out of my mouth, I can verify, and I have evidence and proof. I do not step to one side of speculating, because you know what? I can't. It's got to be all correct. It's got to be all accurate. And I am that. How about that? You know that 50 million signed and all? How about General Flynn asked me for that in text directly for that settlement after the election was over to use to get Trump back in office, because he knew that was the Pandora Papers. He knew it was the protection network of the cartel, of the child trafficking. He knew, because I had told him for 4 years he knew. He just couldn't tell you because he didn't pull the trigger. Now, who knows? Now, think about this. With that evidence now, Sununu becomes governor. He leverages Shaheen and the cartel with their money. So this is what happened. Ready? He's now the keymaster of the money laundering network, and now running for president, by the way. And don't laugh. This guy's got the Bush family behind him, and he's got $932 billion in secrets and blackmail that he's going to get support. I mean, he isn't a genius. He just took my plan. Now, so what happens is we got a problem. Now he's the governor, and guess what? He got his guy in the banking department. He shut down the FRM from any investigation. So the way into the money laundering network is now sealed. Okay? One last problem. Mike Gill's still talking. I am now in court with the cartel, with my co-defendant, Aaron Day. Aaron Day's also there because he's still O'Keefe's guy. O'Keefe Sununu's plan only works if I'm out. Because what? I can put O'Keefe in jail. I'm why O'Keefe resigned. I connect them to the cartel. I connect them to the meetings with the child trafficking. His people reported to the Treasury Inspector General of the Treasury. His guys turned around and reported the hitman that the cartel was hiring to murder me. He's generating that, and he can't walk away, which is why all this is going down, and I'm putting it all out there. You don't hear him say one word. And that's why he leaves. Standard procedure. This is going to get blown up. They don't want to lose that asset on Project Veritas. You think he won't have any ownership? I'm walking away from the board. Did he tell you he doesn't own any shares of the value in that company? That might have slipped his mind. He's trying to
I just want to slow down 1 second for people in the chat, because I think they misunderstood when you said they took my plan. What Mike did, if I could just speak on it, and
my plan was to blow it up.
Yeah.
So in other words, I'm building this with the money laundering, connecting everybody.
Your evidence is what you're saying.
I got the politicians. Here's the thing. You ready to explain it? I'm doing this to collect it, and then this plan of the collection is to give it to the American people. The one Achilles heel that these people have, the one thing that could unite this country and separate us from all the race, religion bullshit, by turning around and say, I can't believe it. These politicians are getting rich. I mean, we're talking children. Right. That's my plan. What they did was they took all of what I was going to do and give it to you, and they kept it. That's blackmail, folks. That's why I called him a blackmailer. That's why I turned around and said the evidence to Howley and that. They wanted to use it for blackmail. What are these guys? Mudrakers? What did O'Keefe do? Secret videotapes? I mean, what did Epstein and Maxwell do? Secret videotapes? What did they do? Leverage rich and powerful people and politicians? What do you think they were doing? I gave them the gold mine of blackmail. Now I'm in court with these criminals, the drug cartels. Again, even the judge is playing and listening to Gill where they're hiring to murder me, and I leave in shackles. Now, so the plan is for me to take the $50 million. But they're saying, well, Jesus, he's already said multiple times, 4 times, and every time we offer money, the son of a bitch puts it on the internet. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to corrupt the case. Aaron Day is going to give every witness up. And O'Keefe, 106 brave men and women who stood up against all of this, people that only came to me, not because of them, because they trusted me for years of running state of corruption. Okay? So at that point, they turn around, no evidence, no witnesses, I can't bring anybody in. Every day, they said, well, he settled for $1 million. His insurance company settled for $1 million. Now, guess what? Ready? You know where that middle million came from? The same people who offered me $50 million, Liberty Mutual. It was all a plan. These insurance, they paid him $1 million. They comes out, and now the cartel goes, see? And they take pictures and press. We're innocent. Look, they paid. And then they come to me. You take 50. I go, suck it. And at that point, they turn around, go through the court. I'm in Washington, $274 million. Now they go, how would you like, you want to keep your home, you want to keep your business, and you get $50 million? All you got to do is shut up. They were going to have me sign an agreement with the Treasury Inspector General's office. I have posted 4 separate case numbers. And folks, they don't give you a case number, these criminals. They don't give you something that you can point at. Well, they gave me this. 4 separate case numbers because I kept saying no and they kept coming back. Why? The way in is always the way out. The IRS and the Treasury, what did we have with the Treasury? O'Keefe, the Inspector General on tape. The intercepting of my communications with the IRS. Curtis Morley, the accountant. Tom Morley was the kid agent. It was a setup. Just like the FBI was covering up all these criminals, so is the Treasury. We are talking about the Treasury and the FBI, the highest levels of the Justice Department. We're talking the U.S. Attorney Lawrence, who gives the evidence to the Attorney General of the United States. So people, if you want to know what side this is, we're talking the Attorney General, the President. I mean, next stop is Jesus. We just climbed the ladder completely. Now, so in that courtroom, I said no, and they hit me with 275, and I said, go ahead, take my business, take my home, take my house, but those bastards leveraged my children too. And even today, and they tortured them, and they threatened to murder them, and they threatened to murder them. I read in court a letter where they said that they were going to cut each one of their heads off and mail them back to me one at a time. So now I go give all the evidence to the U.S. Attorney Lawler, who Trump's appoints weeks before. See, Trump still wanted my evidence. Trump wasn't friends with Sununu. Friends clearly was the opposition with Shaheen and had nothing to do with the cartel. Remember, I'm giving him this evidence. If you remember Trump in 2016, and I posted some of those videos, New Hampshire's a drug-infested den. These politicians are corrupt. I'm going to clean it up. And you see these big message centers? Mike Gill running for governor and Trump. Guess what? I was giving my evidence to Lewandowski. I was supposed to go to Washington right after the inaugural. He was going to drop the bomb on them right then and there. Now, what I can't tell you, and I won't speculate, I don't know why he didn't. I can tell you it's got to be leverage, but I can't tell you what the leverage is.
I think like any other politician, Trump's compromised. Someone asking, are you a Trump guy?
Well, I have a secondary theory, but I'll think about this. So now, Llewellyn has it. Now the U.S. Attorney puts it in writing. I put it on my Twitter account, and I put it in videos, and you see the evidence list. Now this evidence list is not my description of evidence. It's his. You see 50 million. You see security, murder for hire, a murder attempt. You see the Treasury Department. You see the IRS corruption. You see money laundering. You see it says drug matters. They had it all. That goes to the Attorney General. Well, guess what? I get a call from the Trump Lewandowski people saying, meet Stephen Gregory of Epoch Times. If you Google that, is the most trusted ally. Trump calls him the most trusted media source for him.
The Epoch Times.
Epoch Times Bureau Chief Stephen Gregory. I posted his business card.
Yep.
And I go and meet him in Washington.
Okay.
And I'm sitting showing him videos and going over evidence and videos for quite a while. in a room, by the way, full of Chinamen. Right. Never say a word, but are listening to every single word. I am telling you, this is valuable evidence, because this, again, is blackmail. And think about this. Did you know that Epoch Times is owned by a Taiwanese religious group?
Yeah, it's like the Olu Gong, or it's I forgot the name of it.
Gong is correct.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So in other words, if anybody's going to get you in a nuclear war, it's going to be those bastards now, right? So in other words, everybody's interested. Gregory says, writes on a card, writes Howie's telephone number, which I still have, and I have in the past posted it. And I call Howie with Gregory. Howie's in Connecticut and goes, I'm on a train right now, being in Washington. I meet with him the next day at the Trump International Hotel. When I'm telling you this, that the term I had on a hot tin roof, man, this guy was jumping, looking around, scared, the whole thing. I'm going, he knew what I had. How about this? Are you ready? If you in I think it was 2014, Howley from the Daily Reporter announces Jean Shaheen targets conservatives and Republicans with the IRS. You know, as she was targeting me with Bill Shaheen. IRS is involved in this money laundering. They're also weaponized to attack any whistleblower and silence them. Just like today, boys and girls, you ready? You know my lifeline, my Social Security?
Oh, yeah, you were just telling me this.
They just put a collection on it. I didn't even know it was possible. So the little money that I had coming in with Social Security is now gone. And think about the timeline. You know what the timeline is? It's because I'm close. They've been trying to starve me out, and now turned around and took the Social Security to starve me out. Why? Because we are at an important time here and now. So, Howie, and I showed you some text messages. You seen it. He wanted the evidence, and I posted video clips. He didn't know I had. I had a woman that came in with me, was videotaping them under the table. So when you see a text message, Howie goes, "Hey, are you an O'Keefe type?" Well, yeah, I was just working with him.
Yeah,
I did videotape your ass.
So it goes,
And
are you a James O'Keefe type operator to stop this story from coming out? You have used up a lot of my time now, so I think whatever your motives are, I stand behind my work and our interview. Thank you. And then it goes, you know what?
And so what happens is I go, O'Keefe type, not the story come out? Wait a minute. Don't we want to are you telling me O'Keefe's not putting the story out? This guy Freudianly slipped again. O'Keefe isn't bringing the story out. And you know why he mentions O'Keefe, the pinhead? Because O'Keefe was there. O'Keefe was behind glass in the interviews. All I can tell you is when you see that, how he's looking at his telephone, he's getting instructions. At one time when they were setting up, big floodlights hit that glass and I seen three shadows. Now, I didn't see O'Keefe there, but I'm telling you it was Day O'Keefe and Gregory. I'm positive. Now, what happens then is he's going O'Keefe because they were talking to O'Keefe. He mentions him because he was afraid he was being videotaped. You know why? Because he didn't want you to see this. And when he's out there saying, Gill's lying, I set him up, go ahead and say it. After he got all done saying it, I started posting the tapes. All right? And there was 3 copies, 4. I had 1. There was 3 out there. They got them all. And the people who were keeping them. I'm telling you, this is some dangerous, dangerous stuff. But what Howard's not saying, but I didn't give them the names of the witnesses. If you listen to the interview there, he goes, we'd like all the names of the witnesses. Really? That's what the cartel wanted. I tell you what, I said, I'm here because you said you would get the protection. You bring me into the Department of Justice and Trump, they tell me all these people are going to be protected, and I'm all in. But if you're just using this, ready, boys and girls, he's a blackmailer. That's what it is. So you want a secondary use for this? O'Keefe had the ultimate blackmail. He operates as Epstein and and Maxwell does. He gives you a little something here and a something there, and you donate tens of millions of dollars. You get the game. You know, all this time he was in New Hampshire working with me, drug cartels, human trafficking, everything. He gave you the fact that a woman voted twice.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
stop the presses.
Not to mention, just so everybody knows, when he's giving you that information from the quote unquote Dominion voting machines. Now, just Mike, just so you know, I don't believe in voting. I don't buy into any of these paper ballots and all of this election nonsense. I just think it's a predetermined thing. That's my opinion. But as far as Project Veritas exposing Dominion, it's very hard when they share the same lawyer.
Right. Now, how about this? Ready? I can tell you what they did. They didn't give you that human trafficker. They didn't give you that child trafficker. They didn't give you the largest cartel. They didn't give you that Pandora Papers that outs all these corrupt politicians around the country. He didn't give you anything while we could begin a war with Ukraine in time because of all the money laundering. He had it all. So tell me, if you're not protecting children, then what is it that you have to tell me that's worthwhile? Because I ain't buying it. He was a Maxwell and an Epstein with a different dress on. That's what he was. And you see, Howley, he's the same filthy little animal who wanted to use the evidence the same way. You get me protection for these witnesses? Think about this. If I knew that they in O'Keefe gave them the witnesses, because part of the deal is, ready, what would you want if you were O'Keefe, if you were Shaheen in the cartel? You'd want to know of every witness that came forward to shut off any potential leaks. And you know what the other agreement was? Aaron Day ran for Senate as an independent. And he ran independent to get Ayotte beat intentionally. Why? Because it was Shaheen's plan. And you know what happened? Exactly that. You got Maggie Hassan, two-term Democratic senator, because Aaron Day and O'Keefe fixed the rest. So when you're talking about he's a Republican and all this, it's business, folks. They don't care what politics. They don't care. They're not even prejudiced. They'll steal from everybody. It was a setup. In fact, there's an article, if you Google, Aaron Day admits that he got Ayotte beat on purpose. Because it was obvious. And Ayotte was corrupt too. She was the AG, protected. But Hassan was part of this machine of corruption and protection. That's why. So, now think about this. That's why Howley in that text going, oh, you waste time. I'm not giving you those names unless you say protection. And then you hear me respond when he said O'Keefe type. You read on. I said, I'm working with O'Keefe. Ask him about Day. He knows about this evidence. He made a mistake. I turned around. So think about in those text messages. He ties in O'Keefe. He turns around and was worried about being recorded. I turn around and say, I'm working with O'Keefe. Ask O'Keefe. And ask O'Keefe about the evidence. O'Keefe can verify the evidence because he took it with me. His people, his organization was working with me. Now understand what the problems here is. O'Keefe is a direct contact to Trump. Bad, folks. That's why you got to blow him up. If this guy gets bad, he's going to have to fall on his sword. Now, Howley's been losing his shit lately. Why? Because I can tie Howley into Gregory. And that's why Gregory, your chief epoch time, is running around. Remember Trump's most trusted ally? He gives the evidence to Trump. Now, Trump's got two sources collateralized, all set up initially through O'Keefe and bringing his man Day there. Now, so in other words, now we get a problem because when I release pieces of this video, hell go, you dirty bastard sold us out. Now, the reason why they sold him out was they were going to kill Aaron Day. And you know what? I don't like O'Keefe's chances. And it turns out they were a little thin-blooded. So that was an insurance policy to keep them alive. Now, they did sue, Alex Walker sued Day to keep him quiet from then on. That's why Howie was screaming about, even in the tape, don't release it, don't release it. They wanted me to take the $50 million, don't release it, because they weren't going to release it. They were going to use it as blackmail. Now, the election is over. And you see me do videos. I said he's going to lose. Oh, and he lost. And I kept saying in videos before that, I go, release the evidence, you will win. But my theory is, if you don't use blackmail, remember now, blackmail is only good as once. When Trump was president, who went after him? The FBI? You know, Clintons and the Bidens and all this network? Well, who's in those Pandora Papers? Who's in there? Shaheen, all the whole network? If he keeps it, nobody's doing shit. He becomes president, and everybody can't mess with Trump. Now remember, ready? Trump gets raided, right? FBI. Who else got raided? Oh, O'Keefe. Around the same time. Who else got raided? Trump's a lawyer, Giuliani. You know what they were point? If Trump drops that bomb, the FBI is in trouble more than anybody because they've been protecting the whole shooting match. So now, by not winning the election, we got a problem. You know what the problem is? Timeline. I'm saying, listen, I got to drop the bomb now to be staying president. So, who finds Mike Gill hiding in a rat hole in Florida, but ex-National Security Advisor General Flynn and the handy lawyer Sidney Powell, who have both been spending day and night in Trump's office. They find me. Now, ask yourself, they looking for you? Well, they found me, and I wasn't easy to find. And now, you know what the first thing in text messages, in email, you know what the first thing that Flynn asked me for? You know that settlement agreement for $50 million with everybody's names on it? That agreement and my evidence. And Powell has me sign an affidavit. Now here's the thing. This is going to make a great Netflix series. Ready? They have it all in writing. I mean, lawyer, National Security Advisor, and they're sending me texts and emails. People, they were building a new timeline. We didn't have the evidence until after the election. Mike Gill gave it to General Flynn then, and Sidney Powell said, "Yep, absolutely true, everything." Guess what? Now we can drop the bomb, and Trump gets to stay in president, which is exactly the plan. Except for, you know what happened? January 6th. And you hear me in text messages of going, you know they're coming. I'm saying this is a bad idea. January 6th. We have them already. Don't get stupid. I mean, these guys aren't the best strategists, I got to tell you. I met with generals, and I'm going, let's hope we don't go to war.
I was very, very big month before this, telling people not to go, warning people. I did a lot of coverage on January 6th.
How about this? You see text messages with me and Flynn, the military intelligence, ready? On Christmas Day, ho, ho, ho. You ready? I go to walk from my hotel to my favorite place, Golden Corral, and who do I bump into? 2 FBI agents that told me to shut up. Because they know I'm telling them not to do this. They know I'm blowing them up, which is going to come back. The FBI knows that I've got a dozen videos of them blocking the evidence, running into operations to destroy evidence and threaten witnesses. And they're listening to me even about January 6th. So you know what I do? I go tell them to go stuff it. I go back, and you see me say to Flynn, listen, I got to stop me. They threaten my kids, you know, like they know what's going on. So they knew I was in trouble. They knew I was discovered. Okay? They knew that I was given up by the guy who did my last video, which is why you didn't say more videos coming up. So at that point, they still have January 6th. And you see the text messages with Flynn and his people, you know, like Seth Ketchel and Krista Ketchel, all this election stuff. Guess what? We're scattered. Flynn isn't answering the phone. They left me to just to dry. I am on my own. Now the cartel, Shaheen and that network know what I've been doing. And I had the evidence to not only get all their money, but flip the election. And now, and Flynn and them said nothing and disappeared. So I'm on my own at that point. That's why you hear people say he went dark. Dark? I mean, they were on my every step. And So that's why they dropped it. But now guess what? Let's keep reading. I'm the board reader. You turn around and understand. I've learned to know how to move by the reaction to their moves. It's why I knew O'Keefe was going to separate from the company. Now, when they didn't get the evidence in those raids, they know Trump still had it. I'm thinking maybe Flynn's got it too. But anyhow, they have it. And they're going to drop it. Because think about this. Trump destroys all his enemies. Everybody went after him. They were in the FBI. Ooh, you get them. You turn around, you get the drug cartel. Trump goes, I told you I'd put those bastards in jail. Right? The money laundering. Hey, all these Biden and Clinton, he goes, I told you about this. Trump's going to be a superhero. Except for there's a problem with me talking. Okay? So in other words, let's look at the movement. Then you see O'Keefe resign. How about this? You know who's Sununu, who's the gatekeeper of this fall? He goes, not too long ago, he goes, in fact, maybe a week or two ago, I think I got a cartel in New Hampshire. I go, you're no kidding. You sell them protect. You turn around and control the lottery. In fact, our boy Sununu appoints the lottery president. You remember that auto fair that they had to sell owned by the cartel? The front man was Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz got a new job. He's the lottery president. So you know how Aganos is popping up all these casinos? You know who manages and supervises them? Oh, the cartel, Andy Cruz. Now, wait a minute. The FBI raids one of his casinos, and they bust a drug cartel for laundering money. Wait a minute. The FBI's been protecting the cartel in Aganos. Now they make a bust in his casino? Shame on you. And now Sununu, who knows I've connected him with the cartel, mentions the drug cartel. They are doing exactly what O'Keefe did. O'Keefe was tied to the evidence that he had to fall on his knife. Sununu, if all of a sudden the cartel comes out, Sununu goes, are you ready? I told you I had a cartel. Then you point to the FBI protecting the cartel and go, what are you talking about? We busted a cartel laundering network in Aganos' casino. It means it's coming down. They're afraid when this bomb drops, they're all going to jail. They're building their own defenses now as we speak. So why are you going to shut my Social Security card off? Because they're out there saying, for Christ's sake, shut him the hell up. He goes, you know why? People are paying attention. I'm making calls. I'm telling you the call of all calls. There's a bomb coming. A truth bomb coming. And that bomb points to everybody, including the Ukraine.
Yeah, so
These people will get you in a nuclear war. And I'm telling you it's coming. Now, here's the question. Am I going to be around for it? Because I'm still a loose end. This squeeze right now, both sides want me to shut up. I mean, the cartel side is going to blow up saying, I told you so. But maybe Trump doesn't want my timeline. Maybe he wants Flynn timeline. So if I'm turning around and starving, and they come to me and said, hey, listen, take this settlement now. Take $50 million, take $100 million. Just shut the hell up and go away. And I sign a federal sealing order that says if I do say anything, I bump right next to Maxwell. Or I bump right next to Epstein. Either way. And if that deal doesn't come, well, then the deal is that I'm going to go. Then they'll kill me. And people might go, oh, kill you, all right. Well, you're looking at someone who's had 3 murder attempts, 2 on security videos that the FBI and the Department of Justice acknowledge. And you can listen to Kill Gill again. And how about no room service? Well, I get to wrestle with a Russian for 10 minutes in a hallway of a hotel, all on security camera, arrested by the Miami police. All documented. And you know who covered it up? O'Keefe with Aaron Day and Eileen Landy.
No, Brendan O'Connell made a very good point about linking that to the Russian Israelis. And a lot of people, a lot of people in my chat. I can
tell you, Russians were trying to kill my ass.
So a lot of people in my chat are just trying to get a gauge, like they think you're some kind of like Trump. Some people think you're like a Trump supporter.
For everybody right now. Let's make this clear. I don't like anybody. I don't trust any of them. They're all corrupt.
Yes.
How about this? Here's my rule of thumb. Ready? Nobody is telling you the truth. So, as far as I'm concerned, you're either guilty or you're complicit. And if you're complicit, you're as good as guilty to me. So no. How about this? I am a supporter of the people. I am a supporter of all the victims across this country. They open your borders. You understand that's to move fentanyl on street level. You know the danger of fentanyl is? It's because they're making it in this country. My evidence got the largest seizure in the world. It's all on video. DEA called New Hampshire Ground Zero because you see me give the evidence to the DEA. I gave them Aganos. I gave them Cruz. I gave them their distribution network. You know what else I gave them? A fentanyl manufacturing company just out of Boston. Manufacturing, you think all the Chinese are bringing in? Listen, all you have to do is bring in a Chinese chemist.
Yeah.
Save a lot of problem. And that's what they did. And I had the informants. I had the text message that proved it. Proof enough is that we got the largest seizure in history.
And
1,000-pound tractor trailer.
And what a lot of people need to understand is there's production in this country, but it's just as easily China. Mexico sells a bunch of land to Chinese companies to build these huge plants to make this fentanyl, which very easily gets over into our border.
Right.
And I mean, there's literally articles I could show you guys of the Sinaloa cartel in New Hampshire. I mean, El Chapo caught in New Hampshire.
Aganos's construction, I call Stella Arms. It was the largest cocaine bust in the history of the state. You know who was building it? The Sinaloa cartel. Do you know who got busted for in there? El Chapo's cousin, right-hand man, in the site. Okay? So Aganos goes back to the Sinaloa cartel for over 30 years. But here's the thing, what people don't understand. Now, they're manufacturing too. Does some come over the border? Sure they do. But what they're bringing over the border, think about this. Your pharmaceutical company sold you opioids in CVS, Walgreens, Walmart. Remember? You see all those places going around for settlements now with the government pennies on the dollar? Because they can't do that anymore. They can't sell fentanyl that way. But guess what? The people coming on our border is a network of distribution. Street dealers. Why do you think your cities across this country is blowing up with crime? Because they're selling fentanyl on the street. They have changed the means of distribution. Do they still own hospitals? Aganos, sure they do. Hospice care, fentanyl, they do. But the street and the power of this cartel, more than anything, is the network of distribution. That's the power. These American cartels, the power is in the distribution. Now, they weren't growing poppies, but they can make fentanyl. They can make the fentanyl. So the nature of this industry is changing. That's why your borders are open. You know who got them open? The same corrupt politician in the Pandora Papers, the same corrupt politicians that are owned by these cartels. That's why. Crime is going to skyrocket. The thing with fentanyl, it's the mixture. It's a moneymaker. Even if they mix it with things like heroin, the wrong mix, a little too much, they're going to kill you. You are going to have records each and every month of fentanyl deaths, and there is no end in sight.
I wouldn't know firsthand because I would never touch any drug. Just say no, everybody. But I do have
Hey, listen, I'm pro marijuana. You know why you don't have marijuana in the state of New Hampshire? Because it's bad business for the cartel and the pharmaceutical industry.
Now I have the quick clip of you approaching the DEA agent, if you don't mind me playing it for the audience.
No, go ahead.
All right, you'll be able to hear it
One
too.
of my finest, by the way.
Yeah. So this is Mike Gill in New Hampshire, right? approaching DE agent John Delana. Yeah.
Or in this video, just John.
Yeah, yeah, it's just John.
Turn that camera off so we don't have a problem. I don't want to have that Bedford PD card. Just let's talk first. I have no idea who you are.
Mike Gill, run for governor.
Okay.
State of corruption.
All right.
You know who I am.
No, actually, I don't.
No, is it by law we have to shut this off?
No, I'm asking you as a gentleman.
No, I'm keeping it on as a gentleman.
Mike Gill is speaking to Agent John. After years of exposing the cartel network operating out of New Hampshire, John knows where the 80,000 pounds of fentanyl is, don't you, John? No indictment, nothing in the media. John, where's the 80,000 pounds of fentanyl? And how many investment properties do you have now, John? Mike finally forced them to act in 2016. Less than 2 weeks after this confrontation, in which Agent Delena lies several times, the last...
And also, shout out to Brendan O'Connell for piecing some of these things together, making the connections, and I'll just say it, respect to Brendan O'Connell. If we had anything in the past over any issues, it's all in the past. I respect him for putting these connections together.
Hey, listen, we're all cool.
Yeah.
We got a job to do.
Yeah. All right, so this is a very important clip.
Largest bust of fentanyl in US history took place not far from this DEA location. 80,000 pounds of fentanyl with a small amount of cocaine and heroin of approximately 5 pounds. A tractor trailer stuffed to the eyeballs. All because of Mike Gill, who handed the DEA agent detailed information on the trucking company, the routes, emails, text messages, locations, and all the players. The DEA did absolutely zero groundwork on the bust, but they sure as hell took all the credit. And in fact, they took a hell of a lot more than that. Notably mentioned are the day-to-day operator of the cartel in New Hampshire, Dick Anagnost. He runs hospitals, rehab clinics, casinos, Harley-Davidson retailers, and is a convicted drug trafficker. That's what I said to Mike today, and I'll play some of that in the interview I did with him. But I said, well, how the hell's he got... He's a convicted drug trafficker running casinos. He said, because they own everybody. They run the casinos, the lottery, everything. The whole state is owned from top to bottom. It's the clearinghouse. They can't afford to have anyone off the books. No one's off the books. Everyone's paid. But not everyone, as Mike said. A lot of coppers came to him and gave him information.
So I just wanted to show that clip to people just to kind of give them an idea, like boots on the ground, giving information to these people for them to turn around, ignore it, but then take all the credit when it's politically right for them to do, or they're just so pressured that they have to do it.
Where you see two other videos where you see that John Delana is on television. You can see his big fat face across the thing. This is a great day for law enforcement.
Yeah.
No shit, John.
Yeah.
And you know what the killer is? They make the announcement in a preschool. Going, look what we did for the kids. Right. And then they show how about this? This is how simple these bastards are. They're showing you the tractor trailer full and the giant boxes. What did I tell you they were coming out from Bedford, the cartel, right?
Yep.
They've got Bedford written on the boxes. I mean, man. And this thing was so when even the DEA head, that Pat Riley, I think, no, not Pat Riley. Riley is his last. Jack Riley. Jack Riley goes, well, different than other places, it seems like the cartel is working with businessmen in the area. Oh, you don't say. I gave you the businessmen. I told you what they were doing and how they were doing. You know what it is? And see, people, you've got to understand, you've got to read through the bullshit. I am an expert at reading through bullshit. Riley's saying the businessmen because Riley's thinking, well, listen, if these bastards get caught again, we got to make it look like we had an idea. So the idea is to give you a little truth when it's the big lie that they're hiding. See? When we caught Pence going to Grand State Recovery, they gave you a drug trafficker when we had a drug cartel, right? They give you a crumb to catch the loaf. That's what they're doing. And you know why John Delana's in front of the camera? Because John Delana was in front of my camera and the world saw it. So Delana's going to turn around and go, uh-oh. No, they're figuring everybody's stupid, and it's just a coincidence that it's John Boy. And it's just a coincidence that Riley's telling you it's working with these businessmen, which is all true. You see, it's all a cover. It's the same Sununu turning around and said, I think we have a cartel.
Yeah.
It's the FBI with the casino arresting a money launderer. They give you half-truths. It's all about plausible deniability. That's why Hunter Biden's the bag man and not Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah, and that story gets buried. So I'm just gonna play this really quick. John Delana.
My favorite. You keep going.
Tons of unused drugs collected from 103 locations.
But I have to tell you, I think the Northeast, in particular New Hampshire, is ground zero. But some of our investigations are actually seeing people that live in this general region dealing directly with cartel members along the border.
I'm sure there's a lot of opioids in there that would lead to a lot of abuse issues, and today's a great day for law enforcement because this stuff is safely getting turned.
I see John's on the keto diet. Him and Mikey Pompeo probably sharing recipes because he's looking good now. He's on Fox News. He's the big boy now. He's cleaning up the drugs. Oh, as if he's making millions with his buddies.
We gave him a package. They're all lying. You're going to see in this video, you see this guy? His name is John. That's all we knew. We gave him a package. You see me videotape it. I told them the routes, who they were doing it, who was protecting it.
Riley is optimistic, saying DEA connections across the globe are as strong as ever, and he...
Oh, I'm sure they're strong as they could ever be.
Yeah, and it just got worse.
All right, so one thing I want to also explain to people is the out-of-state influence on New Hampshire, Project Veritas. This was the 20,000. So New Hampshire is being invaded by outside money and people representing ideologies that are alien to the citizens there, values, and disruptive to the quality of life. The Free State Project, they call it the Freedom Town. It's been named the 603 Alliance, whatever you want to call it. It's the James O'Keefe bring 20,000 people here to infiltrate all levels of government and just everyday life. We are recruiting 20,000 hardcore libertarians pledged to run for local and state office after moving to New Hampshire. Once here and supported by outside money, they will attempt to swing the government to their direction, reduce taxes in our state that already has a volunteer government and minimal taxation, and implement policies that support social Darwinism, and then they get into some other stuff. But, I mean, they just tell you straight...
It was a third crime family.
Yeah,
and the way that O'Keefe was to accomplish this was cutting a deal with Sununu, right? Because he couldn't get into these towns and in these political positions because they were owned by Shaheen and the cartel. Now, could you Google this for the people? O'Keefe investigates Griner, 2014.
Yes.
That's a very important connecting piece.
No problem. I might even have it, but I'm just gonna pull it up.
It comes up.
Oh, for sure.
How about this? There'll be things that have a way of disappearing.
Oh yeah, I'll get Brittany Griner. I'll get his speech from yesterday talking about Griner. Let's see here. I want an older article. What year was this around?
2014.
All right.
O'Keefe investigates Griner.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Ben Swan was mentioning it. Another one of his guys.
Okay, here I got it.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing now is they're giving, if you type in investigates Griner, they're giving the speech he gave yesterday where he mentioned the Griner thing.
Yeah.
James O'Keefe joins Ben Swan in Bill Griner investigation, building on Swan's FOIA request into the activities of Bill Griner and the town of Bedford. Today, investigate journalist James O'Keefe has expanded the information request. Now you can explain what this is if you'd like. Or...
So what that is right? Griner is the number 3 guy in the cartel. So O'Keefe's telling you, I'm investigating him. You know where you're going to find the cartel? He knows that because he can't supplant their politician with his politicians. Now look who the author of the article is.
Aaron Day.
There you go. Aaron Day. O'Keefe has Aaron Day write his own article telling him he's doing that. Aaron Day is O'Keefe's right-hand man. But now think about this. Ready? Let's think of odds, people. We've got Aaron Day who writes it. We've got O'Keefe, Project Veritas, going after the cartel. Wait a minute. Who am I working with against Griner? I'm working with O'Keefe and Day against the cartel and Griner, who they want to take out. There you go. Listen, that doesn't happen. And the important part of this is that was 2 years. See, 14. I turned around and outed these people in 16 during the election. And when I did, I had 3 murder attempts.
Now,
Aaron Day was in a conference room with me.
Now, Bill Griner
around the world, put a gun to my face. Aaron Day didn't run out the door.
Yeah.
You know why?
Because he wasn't worried.
He knew I was supposed to be murdered.
Yeah,
he wasn't saving himself.
Yeah,
you know, the next time I went, and within days later, they threatened to murder my children. I insisted on a judge taking this evidence. They turned around and gave me contempt. First day, they took my blood pressure 6 or 7 times. I posted the blood pressure results. And then what happened? I have a visitor, a lawyer, right? A guy named Dave Carney. Except for it wasn't Dave Carney. It was a guy named Broderick. Now I posted, "Don't eat the food" or something like that in jail. I posted the video. Broderick, who was a libertarian lawyer for Aaron Day and O'Keefe, one of their boys. They gave me a last call. What Broderick said to me, take the $50 million. Now, in what I do, when you make a mistake, sometimes it's your last mistake. I told him no, and I should have thought better of it because I was in jail. And then I followed up and I said, listen, they're going to kill me tonight. I knew by taking my blood pressure I was going to die of a heart attack. By this coming in, and again, this came from O'Keefe's people. And you can check it. Libertarian. He represented Aaron Day in the case early on. Now, I figured, hey, listen, I'm writing you a note, giving you the note. I want you to give it to Day. I want you to give it to the DEA. Now, and then he leaves. That night, they were watching me. I only took a little bite of, I guess it was mashed potato, and it almost killed me. My hands were blue. My feet were blue. And the guy next door, young kid, maybe 20, 21, I can't move, and I'm asking for help. He starts screaming, okay? Now, there's a video on this. This guy made it testified and said that he said, you know, he needs help. And he heard, and I heard, the guy told the nurse, he go, how the hell is he still alive? Now, he heard that too. Now, you ready? They beat and raped this kid with 2 trustees all night. I heard crying. I mean, it was the worst night of my life. Now, and then the morning that I was supposed to leave, they were sending those trustees in for me. I took a pencil that I had in my brief. I was going to hit the first one right in the eye. And you hear me tell this, and this kid tells you, I said, come on in, you bastards. And when he gets out, I do an interview with him. And it's all on state of corruption. He tells you exactly what happened. He tells you he was raped. He tells you because he helped me. He tells you, when I went out there, I told all these bastards I was putting them in jail. This guy named Venezia, who sent those guys to him. I'm putting you in jail. He said, Mike, they transferred him the next day. Now, this is all on recording. But Aaron Day and O'Keefe gave me the last call. They wanted me dead. So what happened was, right after that, you hear the kill Gill. The guy goes, you just got out of jail. And I got a call. He was number 4, folks. And he said, how much to make him go away? It was Aaron Day and Eileen Landy who made the recording. And when so I turn around and go to Day, he'll give me that recording. And he refused. He knew what it was. So what I did was, let me put it this way, I got the recording and I put it out public. That's what saved my life, because the copy went to the feds and the copy went to the judge. And it named Sequoias. It named the people connection with the cartel. That's what. But they weren't trying to save me. So you know what? You know, O'Keefe and all his boys, they were connected and trying to have me murdered. They recorded that tape that killed Gill. Not me, them. Them.
All right, so I just want to give people a quick rundown. Bill Greiner. Now, this is how you control a lot of things. He was the founder of the primary bank in New Hampshire, so you can tell the power that would bring.
Wait 1 minute. The only bank per Job Bush who meets Aganoff and says, hey, you're meeting the owner of the only bank that opened in 8 years. Guess what, Jeb? Did you care to ask him? It's the Cartel Bank, you pinhead. Go on.
Please clap. So, I was just reading this. New Hampshire, second largest weapons manufacturer, and after Florida. Guns in Mexico come from U.S. Serial numbers not reported. How do drugs enter the U.S. and end up in New Hampshire? Guns go one way, drugs go back the other. Remember Barry Seal. What happens to drug once they enter the U.S.? They get distributed not just on the street, but also through seemingly, quote, trustworthy sources like drug recovery centers, doctors' offices in New Hampshire, hospitals, hospice care. And then what happens to the money
Is
from
that
the
my stuff you're reading?
Nope, just reading a thread.
Whoa. It's smartening up.
And then what happens to the money from drugs that enter illegally? It has to get laundered into the system so that it appears legitimate, and then it can start operating in the system once it's entered and nobody knows any better. Remember, El Chapo's cousin was tried in New Hampshire. Deputy AG Ruofo left his office to be his defender. Who else was in New Hampshire? Ghislaine Maxwell. And who was her addie? Lawrence Voldman from Shaheen and Gordon.
And you ready? You know that bank, primary bank, right?
Yep.
Guess who doesn't get audited? You remember that Jerry Little, who takes over as the banking department commissioner? Guess what? I trust Bill Greiner. We don't have to audit him. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Let's not audit this corrupt bank. They seem on the up and up.
See, it's all about, if you look at the back page of that $50 million settlement, you see banking commissioner, banking department. Department of Revenue means state tax, and the IRS. All the entities that would audit you, but don't. You want to know how you steal $932 million and not get caught? They don't audit you. That's the protection they give. Listen, these are the same IRS who want to trigger an audit, which is $600 transfer, and come to audit you with a gun.
Exactly. And everyone's like, yeah, everyone has to be involved. Yeah, cops, drug money gets a wash, rinse and dry at New Hampshire casinos. Why do you think they own the casinos? Why do you think they own the banks? Why do you think they brought all these people to New Hampshire to infiltrate every level of the society there? This is just one of many cartels. This is just the New Hampshire cartel.
No, but this cartel is the largest in the country.
Very big.
Because this cartel is laundering. It's distribution. Now think about this. What did O'Keefe and I meet with? A trucking company. What did Auto Fair was? The largest auto dealer in New England. You know those big car carriers that go around the country? That's how they move it. This is a distribution center. I had their network going to Boston, but going to New York. This is distribution across the country. Now, I'm not telling you don't have cartels. This is the largest in the world. In this country. How about this? Hundreds of billions. You see when I said Prospective Trust that I called out along with Auto Fair? Prospective Trust was a management company of money. They had 8 people working for them and hundreds of billions of dollars. You know what it was? Their holding company for the drugs. Now, guess what? You remember that banking commissioner that turned around and protected the banking department, Perlow, who's on my $50 million? Who do you think runs that? Perlow. He did such a good job at the banking commissioner. We turn around and start protecting the holding company. Wait a minute. Prospective Trust turns around and finds out in the Pandora Papers, we sell Prospective Trust, just like we did Auto Fair. and we sell it to Jordan Park. You know what? Another company, about 8 or 9 people, who manages hundreds of millions of dollars for the same cartel. You know who is the new head of that? Glenn Perlow.
Seems like these names just all circle around. It's all the same people. It's all the same network.
Do you know why that is?
Just got to keep the
Why is it the same people? Because you're right. It is the same people. Because you know what? When you're at that high height and you have those kind of concerns of what you're managing, you better know the people doing it. They put their most trusted criminals in place so you see multiple jobs. Listen, Andy Cruz sells cars and he becomes the lottery president? Hello.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the move. But it's money laundering. It was money laundering then. So guess what? It's a more in line move than you think. They've got a selective number of the people they trust. They at the very height of this. That's why when people are around say the corruption, listen, with the FBI, the higher you go, the most corrupt they are. And that goes on all of it. The most corrupt move, it's called pay for play, right? The assistant AGs, when they really are the worst, they make them judges. No, if they're really corrupt, they make them a judge in a higher court. And if you're really filthy, they make you a politician. You ever notice how so many politicians are lawyers?
Yep. I want to take one quick second, just a shout out to the audience. I want to say I appreciate everybody for being here. Decamp sent in $10. Martiel sent in a $20 donation. Just K sent in 10. PA sent in 5. And let me get to the Odysee ones. I just want to thank everybody really quick. And
I want you to keep that money.
No, I'm splitting it down.
I'm not sure if they're not going to steal it from me if you give it to me. So go ahead.
No, I'm going to split it down the middle with you towards your, and you can just do it. Put it towards the GoFundMe. That's how I said I was going to do it. I can't take it back now.
No, listen, I appreciate it. I'm just afraid they're going to steal it.
Dub Precursor, $10 donation. Otis, $10 donation. Jessica Jane, one of my faves, a $10 donation. So thank you to anybody that sent in anything. And if you want to do the support or want to help in any way, if you like the channel or you want to help towards what Mike is doing, protection probably being the most important, it's just cash.app/$Crocko and that's the easiest way you can do it.
Can I say something to all these people? Listen, in 16 years, I never asked for help. Never. Because I never wanted to confuse you what my motives were.
Yeah.
Too many of these people are taking donations like Project Veritas, like Judicial Watch. I didn't want to be... Listen, I spent tens and tens of millions of my own money, lost hundreds of millions of my money. But it came to a point where it was hard for me to operate. I mean, even struggling to survive. That Social Security, the little thing that I was surviving, they just took that today. So in other words, this is where we are, and it's important to stop me.
That's that is wild that happened today.
Not wild.
Not wild. It's just perfectly on time.
I can tell you. Listen, it's all about timing. What it tells you is, what it tells me is, I'm in a little trouble. And what it also tells me is, you bastards are getting scared. And if you think I'm going to stop, think again. And if you've ever miscalculated about me, every time you thought I'd take the money and I didn't, well, you should have thought about that. And lastly, to all the people who have sent me money, I got to tell you, it touched my heart. And I'm not used to taking, help. I'm not getting help. I'm not used to asking for help. I don't know if it's pride or not, but I just never did. And I got to tell you, it helps me to do what I got to do, because it tells me, even, $5, I said to myself, it's like, I know people out there, some people can't afford it. I just want you to know, I'm forever grateful and thank you. And when this is over, I'm going to remember all those people it helped me. And I'm you know what? I'm feeling it now. I'm encouraged more than any time. See, and I'll let you go. But the thing to do is, I've looked into a dark hole. I was an expert at finding that little ray of light, and I was an expert at getting into it. I had to go into this when there was no light. I had to learn to function with no destination, visible. And I'm seeing a light. And at that point, I'm seeing the movement. I'm seeing their fear. I'm seeing the potential of years of putting this plan together. So,
and you're seeing people getting interested and actually engaging in the story. And that's what I said to people in the chat. Listen out to the story. And you don't have to just listen to the story. I'm going to give you guys the pieces and documents and videos to further investigate this. So it's not just talk. There's things that back everything that he's saying up, which I'm going to show you. I put these into videos. I put these... Brendan O'Connell is putting these into videos, but I will lay these all out in show notes for you guys to go through them each one by one. And one of the most important ones when he's talking about not taking money is the $50 million they tried to offer him and he turned down.
The video, the list. Watch that.
Yeah.
You see it. You'll see that it's signed.
Yeah.
And listen, people like Cynthia McKinney's reaching out. I've got the chairwoman for the National Whistleblower Committee want me to work with them and help them and they want to help me. So in other words, for the first time, I'm getting groups and organizations. I just went with Thomas Paine the other day, and they want to help and they want to write something. I mean, platforms are coming and helping it. We are at exactly the point that I hope that I've seen it working, and it is, which is exactly why they're trying to starve me out right now. And you know what? I get it. I'll get it. Whatever it is, I'll go through. But I think it's an important time in our history right now.
Yeah.
Where we go in the next few weeks or 2 months might be the direction of this country.
Yeah.
And if these guys take control, I mean, how about this? You can't imagine what they would do then. You have no idea what the plan is looking like. Listen, those 87,000 with guns, IRS agents, now you think about that. You think they were bringing you good news?
Yeah. No, it's never good news when it comes to the IRS or the DEA. We know that.
Well, how about this? I could put them all in jail.
Well, I think this is a lot for people to dive in for their first experience. If this is their first time coming across you, for people that have been following it for the maybe years, past couple weeks, since they saw a Brendan O'Connell video, they have a lot to digest. But I would love to link up with you again a week from now, 2 weeks from now.
You tell me when you want me on, and I'm on.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you spending 2 hours with me. Everybody in the audience seems to appreciate it. And I appreciate the information and just the very hard work and what you've gone through just to get this information out. And I respect you for turning down $50 million to get this information out. So from me to you, thank you very much. And I can't wait to talk to you again, brother.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
All right. You have a good night, sir. Mike Gill, guys. I told you it was going to be a fucking interview, man. I told you it was going to be a lot of information to get through. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to add in videos, documents, articles, everything that corroborates what he was just saying. I didn't want to interrupt with videos while he was talking. But the $50 million he turned down is a legitimate document from a lawyer saying we will settle with you right now for $50 million if you agree to these stipulations. It's signed. It has all the people listed in it, all the people he named that wanted to be released. They wanted releases so they would be away from this, so they could run away from the story if he just took the $50 million. This is 100% fact, accurate, true. He turned it down. So, when he comes on and says, I'm not a guy that asked for help, he could have took the 50 million, ran, never brought up any of this again. We'd never know anything about the corruption. And there's a lot of corruption to get through. But I very much appreciate anybody that donated to the show. I know he said that to not split it with him, but I made that agreement from the get-go, so 50-50, I'm giving it to him. I know a lot of podcasts would never do that. A lot of shows wouldn't even offer that, but it's the fair thing to do. Shout out to Trisha for a $14 donation. My man Dell sent in a $5 dono, said top-notch work. Listen, I'm not the best interviewer in the world, but when you get a guy that can just kind of just go off the hip like that, a lot of people are saying rant or that this guy's got so much information in his head. This guy's got so many names, and he's really just getting a chance to get out in the open and get a megaphone and speak to a lot of people. And this isn't a lot of people here. You can ask Brendan O'Connell. Brendan O'Connell's been making videos for how many years? Over 10? I don't know exactly. The video he did on Mike Gill was in his top 5 videos he's ever made in views in just 1 week. So people are hungry for this story. This isn't some QAnon bullshit. This isn't some made-up nonsense where there's no documents that can back anything. We're not talking about secret indictments or anything like that. He's talking about real people that are actually corrupt with evidence that is backed for it. So that's really all I have to say about it. And then always stay skeptical. Stay skeptical. Come from a place where you don't believe a word he says, and then listen to what he says, and then look through the documents, watch the videos, and then come to a conclusion. Don't come to an instant conclusion because you've been duped by another person trying to tell you a story, is what I would say. Yeah, time-space continuum. He's making statements. It's not a conversation. Yeah, my point about Brendan was that the video he put up on this was in his top 5 in views on videos that he's put out ever. That says a lot. So thank you for him coming on. T Miller says Brendan is abrasive but has good info. The only interaction I ever had with him is I streamed with Adam Green, who's a friend of mine. That's never going to change. We're just cool. And I think he had an issue with Adam Green, whatever their past is. He saw me on there and he kind of just gave a comment in a video on me. Listen, that's water under the bridge. That means nothing to a big story like this. It's forgotten about it. There's no need to rehash anything like that. But I think this is a very good spot, a good hour, 45 minutes of just straight information for people to digest. Like I said, I'm going to have him on again. During the week, I'll cover this kind of James O'Keefe press conference that he gave and break down all the lies that were told in that. I have to put that together. The last 2 days, last 3 days, last week really, since I've been on looking into Mike Gill, I've basically spent all my extra research time digging into this story. So haven't really had... I've been doing other streams of just stuff that I already had, but I haven't been able to dig into anything actually new because I've put so much time into wanting to make sure this interview went off right. So I appreciate everybody that came out to the stream. I hope any of the new viewers sub to the channel. All my loyal people, I always appreciate you guys for being here. And just a real special thanks for anybody that shared the video, watched the video, engaged in this great community. And then a real special thank you to anybody that donated to the show. We know that it's, I'll make a stream. I'll continue streaming whether $0 or $1,000 comes in. But any little bit always helps for sure. So I really, really do appreciate it. I love you guys. And as always, I will see you in the next one. If you want to join the Discord, just let me know. I'll give you the link. There'll be show notes up in there. There'll be show notes in the description of this video once I'm done publishing the stream. If you need any information from me, I'm at Unreal Crocko on Twitter. You can find me on Discord. I'm on Telegram. You can find me and you can reach out to me and I will get back to you. That's one thing that's different from me and other creators. I will respond to you. Oh, wow. I don't know if I want to say your name, but I'll say VK, unless if you tell me in the chat to say your name. Just sent in a $50 donation for Mike Gill, and it will get to him. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Cash App. It records all the donation comes in. I'm going to send him a screenshot of it so he sees the total. And then I'm just going to either... If he has Cash App, it would be the easiest just to send him straight half of it. If he doesn't, then I'll ask him if he wants me to directly donate it right to his charity. All of this will be documented. You'll know the money got to him. However he wants me to do it. However he wants me to get him half of this donation money that came in is how I'll do it. That's what I'll say. I don't know if he has Cash App. I mean, he called me on the phone, so I don't know how I don't know how many apps this guy's downloading. So if I have to just directly donate to his GoFundMe, that's the way I'll do it, and I'll post that up for everybody. But thank you very much. It's a very generous donation. But I think we're gonna end it here. Please share this stream. I have it recorded so we wouldn't lose it. I'm going to put it up on Bitchute. I'm going to put it up on YouTube. I don't care if they try to take it down. I'm going to try to put it up there. And just thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you for supporting. And thank you for just being a great community. I love you guys. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Have a good night, guys.
I got some needs. I need the money like I need to breathe. I need some honest and I need to scheme. I need the W by any means. Got it, I mean. Tell that little bitch that I'm out of her league. Enough is enough, and I think I'm allergic to suckers. You niggas keep making me sneeze. And them out for blood and I'm making them bleed. You try to run and I'm breaking your knee. I made them fall like I'm ranking the league. You know I ball like I blame for the league. I mean what I say and I say what I mean. I ain't no joke, we ain't making no memes. If I pull up on them, I'm making that scene. Then I'm making them scream. Straight from the bricks, I need a lick. I drink the body since I was a kid. Nigga on lit, how can I miss? Came from the bottom and got me a check. Bitch, I'm a flex, I got a flex. You want the crumb, but don't know what it takes. I am built different, I'm not what you think. I cannot lose, I go out with a bang. I hope you never say my name in vain. I'm with whatever, just not for no games. I know they say I change, I cannot say the same. I bet they want me shackled, they're locked in the chains. I guess that's just what happens with bad news. On my mama, I never been fragile. I'm the wrong with the fuck with this taboo. Turn you niggas to R&B tattoos. Still a young nigga, feel like a OG. Can't forget all the shit that they told me. Tired of niggas thinking that they know me. You gon' turn me back into the old me. You gon' turn me back into a savage. Out of this shit you couldn't imagine. Leveled up and then bought me a mansion. I can never go back to what has been. I can never go back to the old days. No way. Back to walking to work on a cold day. Back to thinking my ex was my soulmate. Back to telling myself it'll be okay. We'll be okay. We're surviving no rhyming and OJ. Shorty paying the bills I had no say. I can never go back to the bottom. to the bottom. Selling drugs up and know when the cops come. Nigga jealous and wanted to rob us. I was just trying to give me some dollars. Couple dollars. Turn my pennies from hundreds to common. I'm so happy them days are behind us.
I ride by different spots, I get flashbacks. I can't get on your level, I'm past that. Watch me run that shit up, I can go back to none. Trying to get to the top of the world. My nigga went crazy, walked in this corner and said someone fucking this girl. Fuck all that spinning block, that's that little boy shit we catchin', we rockin' this world. I let everybody have their fun with me. Never had a woman say she done with me. I was working out on the company. I keep money coming in constantly. My little brother them be having runs for cheap. Trying to get it out, been on the run for weeks. Hope ain't none of you niggas could come for me. Both of my kids got it honestly on the real deal. All the way on half.